Suresh sir, it's being recorded now. Suresh sir. Dear participants, the session can be begin in 1 or 2 minutes. Please bear with us.
Safira sir, shall we begin the session?
being recorded now. And
Okay.
yes, Subhasri ma'am wish to do sir, after your welcome.
Okay. Subha ma'am will introduce us. Am I right, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. We are having a participant. Very good evening, one and all, and we are happy to have you all here for today's webinar session. And today it is our 259th webinar session, Strategies for Self-Awareness and Social Awareness. You can say that this is one of the, and we were not covered much about this topic, self-awareness and social awareness. And today we are going to get inputs from that resource person, Ms. Nikita. Currently, she is working as an assistant professor of psychology at Meta School of Social Work. I welcome on behalf of the core team members in the Department of Psychology at American College, Madurai, and associating institutions like Meta School of Social Work, Chennai, M. Chellamuthi Institute, Madurai, and other institutions and the participants over here. I welcome you for this today's session. Now I request our core team member, Dr. Subhasri, to introduce the speaker over here. Core team member.
Good evening, one and all present here. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I'm very happy to introduce Nikita Sane. She is actually my colleague in the Department of Psychology, and she is taking care of the UG, and she's a heroine in the UG department. All students really like her, and she's a very active and dynamic person, and she has been into this field for more than 6 years, and she is very good in teaching and as well as conducting training, and as well as in her overall curriculum development and other aspects of psychology. I've seen her very active teacher in the among students, and very energetic and also very friendly teacher among the students. And over to you, Nikita, for this wonderful session on self-awareness and social awareness. You are the right person and apt person to talk about social awareness. Over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, everybody. So my topic here today is enhancing self-awareness. Now, the reason why I chose this topic is that now on a day-to-day basis, a lot of us have to interact with a lot of people, and it may be students, may be our clients, may be our superiors, may be people at home. We interact with so many people, and we never stop to think about how our level of self-awareness is actually influencing our relationships and the way we understand others, which is a component of social awareness, also influences our relationship with others. And if we can have, and I'm sure many of us are already practicing some of these, techniques that I'm going to talk about today. But even while preparing this content, there's still certain things that came into my mind while I was doing, preparing this content, even after being a psychologist. And that is what is beautiful about this topic, because our self, us, is the wide pool from which you can still keep learning. And I would say that you can never know enough about yourself to actually stop learning about yourself. And it's not just about our capacities, but it's also about the things that we don't like much about ourselves. So let's just move on to the topic. And my slide might change a little slowly. Yeah. So self-awareness. Self-awareness is it's a part of the component in personal competence, and social awareness is a component of social competence. Okay. And both of these are very important components in your emotional intelligence. So this is from the entire umbrella of emotional intelligence and what emotional intelligence entails. We know how emotional intelligence is a very important aspect about it's a very very important aspect of intellectual capacity, as important as any other form of intelligence. And so when it comes to your self-awareness, it is your ability to very accurately perceive our own emotions and understand our tendencies across situations. Now, we do not react the same way in every situation. We know that about ourselves. We might be totally different towards our children, and we are a totally different person for our children. We are a totally different person at work. We are a totally different person towards our spouse. And your capacity to very accurately understand how you emote and how you project yourself across various situations is what building self-awareness is all about. So it has nothing to do with deep, dark secrets about yourself. It has nothing to do with understanding things that most people cannot understand about yourself. Actually, no. It is about understanding what others know about you. It's about understanding whether you know these things about yourself. So it's about understanding what makes you you. So people who are very high on self-awareness has a very clear understanding of what they are good at, what really motivates them, what really satisfies them, and which sort of situation or which sort of people actually affect them the most. So why is understanding or building self-awareness important? Now, self-awareness is important for your performance in any field. And if not for performance basis, at least in the way you, reach your goals, whether it is in your personal life or whether it is in your work life. Because your satisfaction increases when you are able to complete your goals, and building your self-awareness actually helps in this process. So it helps you in keeping your emotions from holding you back. So if there are certain things that you feel guilty about, or you have been feeling guilty about most of your life, if you come in terms with this guilt feeling and trying to understand where this is coming from and why this is a huge issue for you, then the second you understand that aspect, and second you clear that aspect from your life, you are right there ready to move on without any kind of emotion actually holding you back. So it helps you to recognize all your strengths. It helps you to understand your weaknesses also, so that you can overcome those weaknesses and then put everything to good use at the right opportunity. So I'll straight away move on to strategies, because I'd like to discuss a lot of strategies today, both for self-awareness as well as for social awareness. So not seeing all your emotions as good or bad. This is something that all of us do. We generally tend to sort all our emotions basically into two sections. They're either good emotions or they're bad emotions, right? Now, for example, I would like to ask somebody from here itself, guilt. Okay, generally when I say guilt, or generally when I say surprise or excitement, what group would you put it into? For example, let's start with guilt. What emotion would you assign? I mean, what category would you assign to that particular emotion? Anybody? Okay, somebody says guilt is good. Somebody says guilt is negative. Okay, negative. Yeah. So one more person says good. Someone says mostly bad. Now, for me personally, I would never assign the word good to guilt, because for me, guilt almost feels like a very negative thing. I would always put it in the category of bad set of emotions. And if it comes to excitement, then I almost immediately I would try to put it into the category of good emotions. So now, what is the problem with categorizing your emotions? Why can't emotions be categorized into good and bad? Now, the problem is for an individual who categorizes guilt as a bad emotion, they generally tend to avoid, all of us have a natural tendency to avoid bad emotions, right? We are always talking about removing, sorry. Okay, we are always talking about removing negative content in our life, and so how if a person is feeling guilty, then you would always if you're feeling guilty, you would always try to avoid that particular emotion, which is not really helping us here. Sir, am I presenting again? Okay, so we tend to avoid the emotion rather than trying to understand where this guilt is coming from, and what can I do about it? Can I better myself in some way so that I don't have to really, be tied up in that particular emotion? Same thing with excitement. If I assign excitement as being extremely good, then what happens is I, tend to over enthusiast that particular emotion. So what I'm trying to say is, don't try to categorize your emotions into either good or bad, but instead try to feel that emotion, analyze it, and try to understand what is actually causing it. That is more important for us. And if you keep judging your emotions, you'll start understanding it. You'll start understanding where it's coming from, and that way it can enhance your awareness. Are you able to see my presentation? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So next is lean into your discomfort. Now, one of the biggest obstacle that you can have in your self-awareness process or building your self-awareness process is your tendency to avoid any discomfort that comes from seeing who you really are. Now, not everything about you is good. For no individual, everything about them is, perfect. Sometimes seeing something that is not perfect about you can actually cause a lot of discomfort. It can even be a particular feeling. It can be an emotion. For example, you feeling jealous about another person. Yes. Okay. And then accepting that. That is a very difficult thing to do. That is something that makes anybody very uncomfortable. It is something that would actually make anybody defensive also. Even to ourselves, when we explain it, we'll be like, no, I don't think I'm jealous of that person. It's very difficult for us to accept that this is what we feel. But the more you avoid those feelings, you are actually stopping your your path to self-awareness. What you actually need to do is the same thing. You need to actually accept it, own it, see where it is coming from, lean into it, and then try to work on it so that you again build your self-awareness. Now, know who or what triggers you. See, everybody is not perfect, and you cannot like everybody. And everybody's the people around you are extremely different with different personalities. The way they relate to other people is entirely different. So when you're at a workplace, or when you're at let's say even a family function, you might come across certain people that trigger you. Trigger as in, certain people that, for no reason you get very irritated when that person starts talking, or certain things that that person does. So, for example, let's say that you have someone at work who's like extremely loud and, always makes their presence aware in the room. Okay. So if there's a person like that, and if you don't enjoy it, but as a matter of fact, it is triggering you in some way, it is actually irritating you in some way, it means that there's something about you that is remaining unresolved. That it is not the person that is the issue here, it's something within you that is remaining unresolved. It could be the fact that you have had a sibling who took up a lot of your parents' attention while you grew up, and now when you're seeing a similar scenario in your adult life, it is actually it is actually affecting you so much that it triggers you unknowingly. Also, it triggers you. So what you need to do is you need to analyze, you need to understand why is this person or the way the person is talking is it's triggering me, and then you need to remove that aspect from your life, so that or to at least have a better understanding of this is why the person is triggering me. That again enhances your one step closer again to your self-awareness. Watch yourself like a hawk. Now, a hawk is a bird that hovers, right? It's hovering over the sky, looking down at its prey, or looking down at what's happening. And that's the way you need to be when you analyze yourself. That is, you need to objectively look at yourself as a third person. Now, a good example for this would be like, for example, if you have a teenage son, right? For anybody who have teenage sons or daughters here, you would understand they don't always listen to you, and they don't always. They might show some errant behavior that can really, really get you angry, more angry than you ever got, even when they were much younger than that, because teenagers have that tendency to make you quite angry, right? So in all such situations, rather than just bursting out with all your emotions because it's taken a toll on you, try to look at it very objectively. Try to look at it from the point of view of how you are feeling about it, and from the point of view of how your son would be feeling about it, and how your emotion is going to affect him in so and so way, and how your emotion is actually going to affect yourself in so and so way. So maybe what you really want to tell them is, I'm worried about you because of this particular behavior of yours. But instead of that sentence, you might actually show it out as complete anger, which is not actually hurting anybody. So the more objectively you look at yourself, and the more you think from a third person's point of view, what you will actually want to tell the child is, I'm disappointed in your behavior because I you're safe. I'm your caretaker and I want to see the best for you. So watch yourself like that. Next is
He lost or we lost the.
keep a journal about your emotions. Now, this is something I think most of us are doing already. So, because like I told you before, the biggest challenge to developing self-awareness is objectivity. That is, looking at it from a very objective point of view, from a third person's point of view. So, if you keep a journal, what happens is every day you have different events happening, or most days you have different events happening, and sometimes it triggers strong emotions in you, and you might have responded to them either in a good way or in a bad way. And what happens if you write them down is that now later on, when you read these entries, at a time when you are not feeling those emotions very strongly, it helps you to look at that event more objectively and decide whether your reaction to it was a right thing, or was it too much, or what do I have to change about it. You might even rethink about certain things that happened that day, and might even realize that you had judged the situation entirely wrongly. So this gives you a lot of idea about yourself. And a very important thing is also to record the physical sensations that come in along with your responses. That is, when I reacted this way, I felt like my heart was racing, or when I reacted this way, I felt like my face go very hot. So when you record your physical reactions also along with it, you know what your emotions are actually doing to your body also, which goes a long way in terms of understanding your emotions and how it's tied to your health too. Now, don't be fooled by a bad mood. Everybody goes through a bad mood, right? There's no one here with all 365 days being very perfect, positive days, right? And we recognize that a particular day is a bad day, and particularly on that bad day, we might have to make really important
Veera sir, speaker is there.
Okay. Let me check with her. She has joined again.
Okay. Into technical issue.
Yes, yes. She's now joined now. Nikita, ma'am. Okay. Nikita, ma'am, your audio is not enabled, it seems. Can you rejoin so that? Nikita, ma'am, can you unmute yourself? Now the audio is enabled. Can you unmute yourself, ma'am?
Sir, can you please make her as a co-host, sir?
Yes, yes. Sorry, I am having certain power issues here. Simple. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, I think someone is presenting, sir. Who is Smith? Okay, okay, sir.
Sir, I'm sharing my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So, the days you have a bad mood, you also have a tendency to just project all that on everything that is generally happening in your life, and we tend to lose sight of what good things are also happening in our life. And but deep down, we always know that that's not true. But at the same time, you're not ready to listen to yourself that it's just particularly today, and it's because I'm having a bad day that I'm feeling this way. So so the best thing that you can do is one is be very aware of or understand how you generally react in a bad mood, and then accept that today is a bad day and not every day is going to be this way. And if possible, hold yourself back from making bad decisions on that particular day, and understand that your emotions going to change. It's not going to stay the same and stay this low. And if you just allow it to pass without dwelling too much on it, you should be fine. So don't take the bad mood very lightly or think that this is what is going to be your condition for the rest of the time. Next, visit your values. Now, now everybody is like really busy with a lot of responsibility. So we have a lot of things happening in our life in terms of what's happening at home, with our spouse. At work, also, you have multiple roles to take up when you're at work, also. To lose sight of what you stand for, your values and your beliefs. Even though we try to, even though we try to follow our values and our beliefs to the maximum, to whatever we do and we believe in, sometimes we react or say things that might not be very aligned to what we generally believe in. So sometimes your value holds that you should never lie, or your value holds that you should always be pleasant to others and be as helpful as possible to others. But sometimes on certain days, depending on what kind of work you're doing and depending on how busy you have been lately, or certain things put you in a position where you can't always follow what you want to follow. So in such cases, the best thing is again, use a journal or use this practice of journaling, where you get to write down your core values and your beliefs in one column, and in the other column you can actually have a daily entry on what you could have probably said or done that particular day that you're not proud of. Why are we doing this? We know what happened to us the day, and we know what our values. Why should I write this down? Because writing things down sometimes brings it to our perspective. Sometimes it makes us understand that this is what we're doing, and sometimes while we're writing itself, we dwell on it and we understand that did I have no other choice, or is there something else I can do in future, so that this is not something that I'm proud of, so let me just not do this again. Now, spot your emotions in books, movies, and music. This is a a strategy that I like a lot, because I'm someone who reads avidly, and I'm also a movie buff. I fairly listen to music, but for certain people, they have trouble in putting words to how they feel exactly. Okay. Some people are not very expressive, even to themselves, even to understand themselves. They might not, know how to dwell on things, and they're not very expressive to their emotions. And sometimes see a particular character on screen, or reading about a particular character in the book, something about those characters resonate with you. Something about those characters touch your heart, or it intrigues you. You think that it's very interesting. Try to dwell on that instead, and try to this is interesting you, or how this character or this particular lyric has something to do with you or your life. That itself can actually be putting words to your feelings, putting an idea to see this character in this particular movie. This is how I would ideate myself, and actually build your self-awareness and a better understanding of who you really are. Next is seek feedback. Now, beautiful thing if you can have a good understanding about yourself, but mainly other people also have certain understanding about us. And sometimes what we know about ourselves and what another person knows about us would actually be, there'll be a very wide, gap between that. Right now, for example, Subhashri ma'am's the way she spoke about me today, and how she said that she's seen me interact with students, and she says that students like me a lot, and these are things that I may have dwelled on, but I might not have an actual full understanding of the entire scenario. Maybe I've not really looked into it, but now when she has said this, I could probably add this into one of those things that I know is probably my strengths. So this way, and this is not just for positive things, I'm also saying this for negative things. Be ready that other people are going to tell things that you that might be probably negative about you and you didn't really think about it. But, taking that courage and accept that, because this disparity between what you know about yourself and what others know about you can actually go a long way in building your self-awareness, because this is rich source of information. Get to know yourself under stress. People react very differently to stress. This is the first thing we study, almost the first few lessons we study when we move into psychology or the field of psychology. Stress does different things to different people. And the way you react to stress.
So basically, my friend is asking for entry. My friend is asking Alagiri University. It's like we are running a university. Can you please let him know we are here for the session?
What's your question? You can ask at the end of the session.
No, can you please let my other account in? My friend is asking for entry.
Okay, you have to text me, not in between. You have to disturb. Please text me.
Okay. So, yes, thank you. So the more you understand yourself or how you really react in a stressful situation, that tells a lot of information about you. So different people react differently. Some of them actually move into themselves. Some of them actually burst out very quickly. Some of them show more irritability. Some of them cope very badly in terms of physical health. So listen to yourself both physically as well as mentally. Am I feeling irritated most of the time nowadays, especially since I'm under stress? Am I avoiding certain situations? Am I being mean to other people? Am I, trying to avoid my stress by doing meaningless other things? So all these, am I eating too much nowadays? And physically, am I getting tension headaches more often? Is my stomach getting upset because I'm stressed nowadays? So listen to yourself both physically, because your body manifests a lot of stress symptoms, as well as mentally, so that you again have a better understanding of how you have been coping with the stress situation, because stress is something that is inevitably going to come at some point in your life. For most of us nowadays, especially, it's pretty much all the time. And this affects not just you, your physical health and your mental health also affects other people around you. So understanding who you are when you're stressed actually helps with your coping mechanism. It also helps other people. So I'd like to move on to what social awareness is. Now, social awareness is your ability to pick up on emotions in other people and understand what is happening with them. So now, till now, we were talking about having a better understanding of ourselves, our capacities, our negative aspects, improve yourself, improve your emotional intelligence. Here, we are talking about your ability to understand other people's emotions and understand what they are in and what context they are having. And this is another extremely important social competence component. It is an extremely important component for emotional intelligence too, because this involves listening and observing, right? And in order to listen and to observe, we might have to stop a lot of other things. For example, all the mind, thoughts that's going through our head, all the other activities that you're generally doing. You might have to put all that to a pause to actually listen and observe. And tuning into others' emotions will actually help you get a more accurate idea of what is happening around you, and also how it helps with understanding your relationship with other people also. So what are the strategies for social awareness? Watch body language, right? So when you try to look at body language, for example, a lot of things about the person, rather than from listening to what other people are saying, when you watch along with listening to them, you get a lot of information. For example, whether this person is maintaining eye contact or not can tell whether this person is trustworthy, whether they are sincere, whether they are caring, now, for example, sometimes even though a person is smiling and saying something, that smile says a lot of things, whether they actually mean what they're saying, whether they are actually saying it in a sarcastic way, whether they are actually sad but they're trying to smile. So how am I saying all these things? This is because of our capacity to read body. That is understanding how people, what people are trying to say through their body language rather than from just the words that they say. So anything from slouched shoulders, which means that they're tired or they're fed up with the conversation, or they don't feel very good about themselves, or lack of self-confidence. And next thing is firm handshakes says a lot of things. A person who's very fidgety with their arms and legs says a lot of things about the person. So it gives us an idea of what the person is really saying, not just about the words coming out of their mouth, and it helps us to plan a response also. Timing is everything. Now, this probably your children know better than generally, or children know better than all of us, because they know exactly what time or when is a good scenario to ask favors from their parents. They know when the parents are in a good mood. They know when the parents are in a bad mood. They know at what particular time, if I ask a particular thing, that my father or my mother is going to probably agree and give, right? So children have this, the sense of timing that unfortunately some of us just don't have. So the goal is asking the right questions at the right time, right? So for example, let's say that another person is trying to vent about all the bad things that for about a particular health issue that they're having, but you all of a sudden you want to know something related to your project. So that would not be a good time to ask the person about your project. So understanding the context that that person is in, timing your questions correctly, being aware of that person's state of mind before presenting your concerns, because your frame of mind is not the only thing here in a relationship. These are all the components that come under ensuring that your timing is right in terms of getting what getting your fulfilled. Any kind of internal distraction. See, most of us, when we are trying to have a conversation with other people, for example, me myself, when I'm trying to do this webinar, we say shutting our mind voice down. That is, you might have a lot of things that is running parallelly inside your head. For example, what am I supposed to be making for dinner? No, focus. I'm doing this presentation. Or, I wonder if my son has come back from tuitions. No, focus on this person who's trying to talk to me. So be very socially present. That is one major aspect of social awareness. That is, especially in terms of removing distractions that is in our head. And one main thing to that is avoiding interrupting the person who's actually trying to talk to you, because if you let them complete their sentence, you'll have a bigger picture of what they're trying to say. And if you quieten your inner thoughts, and if you try to stop yourself from what making it about you and the thoughts that you're having inside your head, and if you enhance your listening skills, that will actually help you, because you might actually learn a lot from that person who's trying to talk to you right now. Then living in the moment. Now, thinking about the future or planning about the future is a wonderful thing, right? It's something that everybody has to do. However, and dwelling on the past, as in, I wouldn't use the word dwelling, but more like looking back at the past. In the past, that helps us understand where we came from or what experience we've had, and that has made you what you are. But at the same time, in order to build your social awareness, wherever you are, it's always better to dwell on past and future to a limit, but rather present as much as possible, because it helps you see all the wonderful people that you have around you, all the wonderful experiences that you can have with these people, and use it to the fullest. Whether it is at work or whether it is at at home or anywhere else. Next is an very important aspect of building social awareness, which is practicing the art of listening. Now, listening, like I told you, is not just about the words. We also spoke about body language. And then also need to person has been speaking to you. So it depends on the tone in which speaking to you. It depends on the speed in which the person has been speaking to you and the voice. Now, for example, if a person is speaking to you really fast, and that this most of us psychologists, it means that there's something that is pressuring this person to talk, and it means that the person is very anxious, and it means that the person is under a lot of stress. That tells you a lot about that person, even if the person doesn't actually tell you that, hey, I'm stressed. Okay. And the tone in which a person talks to you in itself makes you understand how much you mean to that particular person, what he or she thinks about you, or what you have probably done that could upset the person or make you feel, really, or make them feel really good about you. So all of this, and the volume, right? So there are some people who speak innately they speak very softly or they speak very loudly. There are a lot of differences among people to people. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who have to raise their voice for you to listen, which means that in itself that there's something wrong with the way you have been listening to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to raise their voice. So these are things that, so here it's not just the social awareness you're building, you're also building self-awareness along with it. You are understanding that the person had to raise their voice because you haven't been listening in the first place. And so pick up these cues that the other person is trying to give you, because it's not just the words, it's through the tone, speed, volume, and all those things that they're actually sending you in, messages other ways also, and you really have to hear it. Now, next is a favorite for psychologists, which is stepping into other people's shoes. We use the word empathy, right? Being empathetic is the first thing that psychologists need to be, and this explains social awareness at its best, right? And this is something that we continuously need to keep practicing. So putting away your ideations, putting away your emotions, putting away your beliefs, your patterns, your tendencies, just to understand everything, the entire scenario from another person's perspective. Very easy to be said, not very easy to, actually practice. But once you do, you actually understand, you actually understand the context from which this person is trying to tell you. You will be at a better position to interact with this person, and you'll be at a better position to help this person also. Seek the whole picture. Now, though you might interpret it in a totally different way, what I'm trying to say here in terms of seek the whole picture is that rather than you judging your relationship with other people, or rather than you judging your understanding of who you are in terms of understanding other people. For example, I've heard people say that I'm a people person. I can really catch, very good at holding conversations. I'm quite good at understanding people's body language. It's good that you have built this level of self-awareness about yourself and about your social awareness skills. But you need to also once in a while ask others also to evaluate you in terms of this. That gives you a very good entire full picture about who you are, who you think you are, and who others perceive you as. So you might think that you're a people person and that you have been very good at interacting with people. You also need to see if other people feel the same way. Okay, so that is in terms of seeking the whole picture. Next is catch the mood of the room. Now, so far, all the strategies that I spoke about has been in terms of, from a one-to-one person perspective or a small group perspective. But here I'm talking about being able to gauge the entire climate when you walk into a particular room, right? Many of us would have experienced this during our training sessions. For me, it's been an everyday thing, when something I miss right now, which is, walking into the classroom and first of all, understanding the mood of the classroom. Though I do not admit it to my students, the second I walk into the classroom, I know whether they are in a good mood to listen to my class or they're not in the mood to listen to my class, and what exactly is affecting them. So, because emotions are very contagious, it spreads from one person to another person, and within a few seconds, actually, it becomes a collective mood. And being able to walk in and scan that collective mood is a very good skill in terms of social awareness, because what are the things you can look out for? You can see whether there's group interaction happening or people are sitting up alone. That in itself will show you how comfortable the people are, whether they're going to connect with you as well as others in the room. And next thing is you can scan for the energy level. You can scan whether being hyperactive is also an issue. So because they're not going to be able to listen to what you're trying to say, but you can notice the energy levels, whether it is calm, whether it is extreme levels of energy, or whether it is lack of any kind of energy. So being able to gauge this or gauge the mood of the room is another important social awareness skill that needs to be built. So I'd like to conclude by saying that you can use you can use your self awareness skills as well as your social awareness skills to manage yourself better and manage your emotions better. But the main thing here is that the bigger picture here is that it helps you manage your interaction with others better and your relationship with others better, which is what generally emotional intelligence is all about. And I'd like to leave this quote here so that we can all dwell on this. It's by Daniel Goleman. If you don't have self-awareness, if you're not able to manage your distressing emotions, if you can't have empathy, and if you can't have effective relationships, then however smart you are, or whatever other intellectual skills that you have built, it's not going to take you very far. Because we as human beings, we're social beings, and anything for us to get ahead in life, we need to also have good interactions with other people. With that, I'd like to say thank you.
Yes, dear participants, like any questions, like you can very well ask, unmute and ask, or you can put it in the chat box. We can read out. And meanwhile, like as Subhasri ma'am said, like it's very informative as well, very energetic delivery today. Nikita ma'am. Yes, two questions have read, like I have seen. Let me read it, which is in chat box, ma'am.
Yes.
How can we judge the person with his eye contact or smile? Could give the example. This is one actually.
Okay. So it's this general idea, and I'm not someone who likes to say this across for all people. But the general idea is that when you don't maintain eye contact, it means that you have something to hide, or sometimes you're not very confident about what you're trying to say, and that's why you're not maintaining eye contact. So that may be the case or true for almost maybe a majority of individuals. But we also have to consider individuals like who fall under the autistic spectrum, who actually find difficulty with maintaining eye contact with conversations and things like that. So that also needs to be considered. But overall, that's the general idea. And the authenticity of a smile, I think that goes without saying. I think that's something that naturally most of us can identify. Even from infancy, they say that infants respond better or can actually understand whether it from another individual, or friendly behavior that is coming from another individual, just based on the facial expressions, especially the smile, right? And it's one of the first things an infant interacts through from the very initial, age. That is, the first response is usually the smile, right? So this is something that is very basic that we can recognize whether a smile is actually to its fullest, or is it being faked, or is there something else that is underlying that particular smile? I hope that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am. One question in the chat box I can read out. Actually, the stress caused by others for us. There is no one ready to share our stress. So what we can do? This is from
Okay.
one of the
Now, yeah, so that is a difficult situation when you don't have people to share, the mental space that you are sharing, the mental state that you're experiencing in terms of your stress, whether it was caused by external aspects or by yourself or by somebody else. It is a difficult situation, but my suggestion would be that always try to find your means of trying to cope. Is an excellent thing, but it not actually work out in all scenarios. So finding coping measures for yourself is always the best way to go forward with it. You can seek, professional help.
sorry.
Hello.
So, yes, and now it is all right,
Yes.
it seems. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, but someone wanna ask, like, Ms. Sumi, you may unmute and you can very well ask. Sumi ma'am would like to ask, or we can go with other question. Okay, one more question in the chat box I can read out, ma'am. How to present our perspective before a person when he or she thinks opposite way?
So I'd like to bring back a point that I spoke about earlier. That is in terms of understanding whether the timing is right. So it's a good thing that you have clarity about your perspective. But now what you need to understand is whether it is a right timing for the other person, and whether that person is in a context to understand your perspective. So that is an entirely different human being with entirely different sets of emotions. So if he or she is thinking in an opposite way, then there should be a reason in their particular context. So understanding that in terms of whether this is the right timing to make them understand your perspective is one way to go about it. For me to help you out further, I would have to know if this is more specific to a particular situation. Is it more in terms of general relationship issues?
Ma'am, you may very well ask. You are unmuted, you can ask. Or no, the whatever the yes answer like can have as a last one, and further these questions can be very well share it across over mail, my webinar, my feedback webinar at gmail.com. I request Dr. Salim sir to propose the vote of thanks. Salim sir, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute, sir. I am audible, sir.
Yes, sir.
A little louder. Can you make it a little louder?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now it's fine.
Okay. Good evening, participant. Your kind attention, please. Please keep up the professional codes of conduct while you are interacting in online during Mental Health Webinar Series 2020. We are recording entire session. If we notice any unhealthy or uncultured behavior in any form of action, will be strictly taken to the next level of Cyber Security Board. Kindly adhere the rules as per the online decorum. Hope to serve people with the right intention by spreading awareness and join for good cause. And today we have the wonderful session, ma'am. 259 session strategies for self-awareness and social awareness. It was a very good session we had it, ma'am. Rightly, Dr. Suresh said. In fact, we are the first topic in the entire series, like self-awareness and the social awareness, and very much important today actually. The objectives would allow us to step down under the control of our emotions. You very well explained about the emotional intelligence, because we are not same as in workplace, or we are not same with our spouse, or we are not same with our children. So rightly pointed out that. So we have to handle the emotions in right manner to know who I am. I mean, we have to know about ourselves. That is the mainly thing, root cause, to avoid all those issues. So it's a very much needed to, in fact, evaluate ourselves. So please accept our gratitude on behalf of the American College and
Thank you, sir.
Chennai, MS Chellam Institute of Rehabilitation Center, Madurai, and our associates like Red Pond Educational Academy and International Council of Oncological Association, Turkey. Thank you, Nikita ma'am, and thank you all the participants for the today's session. And we are going to have yet another wonderful session. And tomorrow is the 260th session. Thank you, one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikita ma'am. Thank you so
Thank you, sir.
Nikita,
much. Thank you, and since
much.
Thank you.
One
question, sir. Yes, sir.
Nikita, thank you so much. You know, when I called you, you immediately agreed, and thank you so very much. I just missed 5-10 minutes in the beginning because I had a session. So, but after that I joined. You know, it was a great flow was there, and it was very informative. Thank you very much for your time and accepting that.
Welcome, sir, and thank you for the opportunity.